Hello and welcome into the Week 11 edition of the ETSN.fm podcast. That's right, it's the last week of the regular season, finally. I'm Clint Buckley, and as always, I'm joined by Chandler Vessels. Well, it's finally here. There are district titles, playoff bursts, and some history on the line Friday night, Chandler.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really good week, last week of the regular season, just watching some of these teams fight for the district title, some teams fighting for playoff spots, and I know there's going to be a lot of good games, especially the two that we're going to cover this week. So
yeah, I mean, and then speaking of history on the line, we've got looks like 7 teams in East Texas that have a chance to finish the regular season undefeated. That's always a good benchmark for teams around the area is to get that 10-0 regular season. We got Longview; they're going for it. They play Mesquite at home on Friday night. They're shooting for their first 10-0 regular season since 2005. Carthage, of course, that 35-game winning streak still intact. They play Kilgore at home on Friday night. It would be the first time, oddly enough, in Carthage school history that they will have had back-to-back 10-0 regular seasons. I find that kind of stunning considering how well they've done in the last decade or so. So Longview and Carthage obviously in the mix for a 10-0 season. Kind of a surprise this season has been Jasper. They're 9-0. They haven't gone 10-0 since 1983. And they have a big game this week we'll talk more about later with Center for the district championship. Jefferson 9-0. We had big expectations for Jefferson this year. They had some tall tasks in front of them, but they were able to overcome all of those, and they have a home game against Redwater on Friday night. They should win that one rather easily and finish their first 10-0 season since 1994. So Jefferson getting it done this season. Woodville is 9-0. They are searching for their first 10-0 regular season in school history. This is a program that's done well in the regular season over the last couple of years. Have had trouble getting beyond that second round hurdle in the playoffs, but they're looking good this season. Have a chance to make history with a win on Friday night at home against Hardin. Newton, of course, they did not have a 10-game schedule. They could not find enough opponents to make that happen, but they're 8-0. They've got a home game against Anderson-Chiro this week. They've won 23 straight games. This would be back-to-back undefeated regular seasons for Newton. They went 15-0 last year. They're 8-0 so far in 2018. And then last but not least, Carlisle, 9-0, and they've made it look easy all season long. They haven't really been tested by anybody. I kind of look for them and maybe some mix of Garrison and Tenaha maybe as a regional favorite in that region this year. Carlisle's looked awfully good. Carlisle was 10-0 last in 2011. They can do that again this season with a win over Hawkins at home on Friday night. So those 7 teams, a lot of history on the line, perfect regular seasons on the line. We'll keep an eye out for that on Friday night. Now on to this week's slate of games. We've got a couple of good ones. We mentioned it earlier, Jasper against Center. This one for the District 9-4A Division II title.
yeah, I mean, Jasper, like we said, has been sort of surprising this year. I mean, we kind of expected them to win their district.
Right.
We picked them to win their district, but we didn't really think they'd be 9-0 at this point, especially with a big win in non-district against West Orange Stark earlier this year. So they've been getting it done just by giving the ball to Montavian Hunt.
What a season.
Yeah, he's way up there in the rushing leaders for East Texas, close to 1,500 yards, 19 touchdowns already. So they definitely run their offense through him, but they're not one of those teams that has to rely on the run game. It's not the only thing they can do. They have a quarterback in Colton Womack who's thrown for 1,000 yards this season, a couple good receivers that he's thrown to, and then also their defense has only given up 10 points a game. I don't know if that's maybe a factor of the teams that they've been playing or maybe if they were playing a little bit better competition, they would be giving up a little more points. But that's still certainly impressive for a defense to only allow 10 points per game. So
yeah, it's probably the reason why they're undefeated. If you hold the teams to 10 points a game, you're not going to lose many of those games.
Yeah, but on the other side, I mean, Center's a very good team as well. They're also undefeated in district, so this one's going to be for that 9-4A D2 title. They've got a great quarterback in Jaden Hicks who, up until last week, hadn't thrown an interception. Then he threw 3 last week, but he's still got a 5-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, which is really good. He's good at taking care of the ball. Doesn't make very many bad passes, and he's also got close to 1,500 yards. So they throw the ball quite a lot. So it's not just that he's not getting many opportunities. He's just really good with the ball. But they also have a couple good running backs. Hope I'm saying this name right. Kia Madre Horace. is close to 800 yards rushing. So they're a very balanced offense, and I expect this to be more of a test for Jasper than maybe people might think at first.
Yeah, because it's on the road. Center's very good. This is a playoff team. These were both playoff teams last year.
Yeah.
You mentioned Jaden Hicks. I remember last year him kind of bursting onto the scene as a sophomore, put up some good numbers, and he's kind of followed that up with a really nice junior season. So yeah, I mean this one, Jasper and Center, we knew that the district was probably going to come down to this game.
Yeah, and we had them 1-2 in our preview.
And I think that the fact that Jasper is 9-0 on the season and has that undefeated regular season on the line, I think makes this game even more appealing. So looking forward to that one on Friday night. And then the other big game, probably the biggest game in the area as far as what's at stake and the two teams involved, Tatum at Gladewater on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, Tatum's another team that's been sort of surprising. I mean, they did drop down, so we expected them to do pretty well.
Both of these teams.
Yeah.
Both of these teams were struggled last season on 4A, dropped down, and have put that in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, I guess it's not too surprising that the two teams that dropped down are now facing each other for the district title, but Tatum lost their first 2 games of the season and hasn't lost a game since. They're undefeated in district right now, and win against Gladewater would give them the district title. So I'm expecting this game to be really close, kind of high scoring, because Tatum's had 3 games in district so far where they've scored 50 points. They're averaging 45 points per game since district play started. They've got really good skill players. O.B. Jones is he does it all for them. He's got over 1,000 yards passing, 700 yards rushing, 22 total touchdowns.
Right.
But it's their 2, I guess, athletes you would call them, that they rotate between the backfield and receivers. Jakias Jenkins and DeCartier Allison, who've combined for more than 2,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. So they've got a lot of weapons on offense, and I expect it to be a high-scoring game. But Gladewater has the players on the other side to keep up with them. I mean, Eli Carter,
right?
He's had a breakout season this year, sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's 3rd in East Texas right now in rushing yards, 1,822, and
could get to 2,000 this week.
Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility. And if he doesn't get it this week, he'll surely get it in the playoffs in the first round the week after. So. Whichever team, both these teams are very high-powered offensively, and I think whichever team's able to string together maybe a few stops is going to be the one that comes out on top in this one.
Yeah, I think Gladewater, what they're going to want to do on offense, obviously, is what they want to do every week, is just kind of slowly, methodically move the ball down the field, eat up clock, and this would be very, very advantageous for them this week against the Tatum offense that you mentioned has just been so explosive in district play. They can score really, really quickly, so I think if Gladewater's offense can kind of shorten the game and keep the ball away from Tatum as much as possible and limit those big plays that Tatum likes to get, I think Gladewater has a pretty good chance of winning this game. But Tatum's been impressive in district, man. I mean, they beat West Rusk, which up to that point had been dominant, really. And then they haven't really been tested, I would say, in district. I mean, they haven't really had any tight games, and
they beat Sabine like 56-28.
Yeah. And Sabine, of course, knocked off West Rusk, handed West Rusk their first loss, and almost pulled off a shocker against Gladewater last week. So Tatum might be the favorite going into this game, but I wouldn't read too much into that, just based on the fact that it's Gladewater senior night. It's at home, and they have the pieces on offense to at least slow the game down. And prevent Tatum from really getting out on them with a big play. So
Gladewater's only loss was at the very last second to West Rusk too. So they're just one play away from being undefeated themselves.
That's right. So yeah, 2 big games this week that we're really going to be paying attention to. Of course, there are others that have playoff implications. I mean, this would be like a 4-hour show if we went through all of those games with playoff implications with as many districts as we cover. But Jasper Center, Tatum Gladewater. Those are the 2 games that I think we're going to have our eyes on the most this week. You'll be at the Tatum Gladewater game on Friday night. Before we get out of here, we want to give a special shout-out to our offensive and defensive players of the week. On offense, I kind of think this was a no-brainer. It's John Tyler, wide receiver, Keandre Street. 7 catches, 244 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's good enough on its own. But then his last touchdown, of course, was the game-winning 49-yard touchdown catch as time expired. A Hail Mary pass that gave John Tyler not only a 48-44 win over Mesquite Poteet, but it gave JT the District 7-5A Division I championship. So Keandre Street, who had missed the previous couple of games, one with an injury and one because of suspension, came back, and boy, did he make up for it for John Tyler. So congratulations to Keandre Street, our offensive player of the week. And on defense?
Yeah, we have Pittsburgh safety Keontae Burns.
Another no-brainer, I feel like.
It was a really easy week for us this week, but he had 3 picks, and then the one that topped it off was the 99-yard touchdown return that he had, pick 6. So, and he also had 2 tackles and a pass breakup, but 3 interceptions. I mean, that's going to get you the defensive player of the week most weeks. So.
Yeah, you get 3 interceptions and then you win by 2 possessions. I mean, you can make a case that he was the difference by himself in the game. So, yeah, congratulations to Keandre Street and Keontae Burns, our offensive and defensive players of the week. Well, that's going to do it. Be sure to check out ETSN.fm right now for the best coverage of high school football in East Texas. We've got previews up on all the big games this week, the last week of the regular season. As always, if you have any questions or comments for us, you can leave them in the comment section below, or you can hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Clint Buckley. He's at Chandler Vessels. And, of course, you can also ask questions at our main account, which is at ETSN.fm. Download the free ETSN mobile app. It's available right now at Google Play or on the App Store. It's the best way, no matter where you happen to be on Friday night, if you want to keep up with all the scores in East Texas. The app has the live update scoreboard, the best live updated scoreboard in East Texas. No matter where you are on Friday night, you'll be able to stay engaged with all the games going on in East Texas. So be sure to do that. All right. Well, for Chandler Vessels, I'm Clint Buckley. We'll talk to you again next week when we're previewing the first round of the playoffs.